Hello and welcome to everyone who's joined us today. We are doing a session on the MBA application form. I'm Anju Goela. I'm a senior MBA admissions consultant at the Red Pen. The MBA application form is the most neglected part of the application. Most candidates treat it as paperwork, and if you do that, believe you me, it will jeopardize your candidacy. Remember that the application form is not just a formality. It's a core part of your story. It is your pitch to business school. So therefore, you need to make a strong one. It ties up all the components of your application. It connects the dots from where you are today to where you want to be in the future. It gives the candidate snapshot in a it gives the candidate snapshot. It's a structured summary of your academic, professional, and personal journey till the point of application. What it also does is provide depth and breadth to the AdCom in terms of your career progression, your leadership abilities, the diversity of your experiences, both professional and personal, your interests that go beyond work, and it also showcases consistency across roles, timelines, and your goals. What it needs to have is clarity, brevity, and intent. Now, AdComs want to see if you can distill impact in a few lines, if you have clarity of goals, if you can demonstrate fit with an MBA and the school that you're applying to. It also gives the AdCom a platform and to assess your attention to detail, your communication style, your maturity, and of course, your self-awareness. Now, before I go further, I would like to know how many of you are applying to business schools and how many of you have opened your application forms and started filling them out. Please do put your answers on the chat and I will go over it once I see those. Right. So what I have done is I have bucketed the main components of the application form into 4 distinct segments. What happens with the application form is most candidates only start working on it a few days before the submission deadline or sometimes even on the date of the deadline. But that is that's a complete no-no. That is something that you should avoid doing, absolutely avoid doing. And I'll tell you the reasons as I go along. Let's circle back to the components of the application. Now, in terms of the data points, the schools will ask for your personal and biographical information. They'll ask you for your academic trajectory, your professional work experience, awards, honors, your extracurricular activities. Now, here's the thing. When you are writing your personal and biographical information, you need to make sure that the facts and figures are accurate. Sometimes what happens is you need to go back and reflect on, or go back and check on certain dates and facts and figures and achievements, because it's been a while since you graduated college. It's also been a while since you took up your first role. So it's a good idea to start working on the application form early so that you have the time to get all this information and verify it as well. I typically ask candidates to start working on their application form the day they open. All right. Schools also require certain document uploads. You need to upload your college transcripts, both your undergrad and if you've got a postgraduate degree, you'll have to upload those, your resume, your test scores, and you will have to give details of your recommenders on the recommendation page, along with the email ID. Remember to give the official email ID, and schools will send out the link to your recommenders on that email ID, through which they will have to upload your recommendations. Now, there is another reason why this is, the transcripts are another reason why you should start working on your application forms early. You need to look at the requirements that each school has. And in case you are missing a document, you need to go back to your undergrad or your postgrad institution and ask them for it. Now, this will typically take, a few days, sometimes a few weeks. If it's in the holiday season, it might take even longer. So if you sit and start doing your application on the last day or a few days before submission, you might be in trouble, and it might be very, very stressful. You might even have to push your application to another round. Let's look at the subjective components of the application. Of course, the most weighted part of the applications, and we're going to talk about this a little later, the essays. Then there are certain short answers. For instance, Columbia has two short answers on the short and long-term goals, barely 50 characters. Then there are subjective questions. The subjective questions are a little different from the short answers and the essays. They may be anywhere between 50 words to 200 or 250 words. The subjective questions need to be looked at in conjunction with the essays. Do not make the mistake of copy pasting material from your essays into your subjective questions and vice versa. If the school is asking you two different questions in two different places, it is because they want different information. They want you to talk about different things. They want you to provide a different perspective on yourself. They need more information on you. They need to get to know you a little better through every part of the application. Sometimes certain schools like LBS and Stanford GSB have a lot of subjective questions. Again, if you keep the application form for the last minute, you might get blindsided because you feel, oh, I've done the required essays. And then you sit down to do your application form and you find that, there are 3, 4, 5, 6, essay-like questions which you still need to address. And you need to be thoughtful about this. You need to be mindful about this. You need to reflect on, the materials that you're going to plug in there, and ensure, again, as I said, that you're not repeating information from your essays. So another case for starting work on the application form early. If you're a reapplicant, most schools have a reapplicant essay. And then most schools have an optional essay. Now, what is this optional essay about? One, it is truly optional. You don't have to write anything here. But this is an opportunity for you not to write an essay and write about an incident or write about something that you feel the school should know. The optional essay is primarily used to kind of explain any gaps that you might have, in your academics, in your work experience. If you have a low GMAT or GRE score or a low GPA, it can be explained here. If you need to explain your recommender selection, it can be done in the optional essay. So the optional essay is truly optional. One. Two, do not plug in an essay from somewhere else, from another school over here. But there are schools like Yale SOM which encourage you to add additional information about yourself, which will allow them to get to know you a little more. So you can plug in a story, an incident, you can plug in something that gives context to your application form, or something that's not there in the rest of the application and you feel that the AdCom should know. But this is very rare, only I think Yale allows for that. There are other requirements that the application form has, like disciplinary and character-related questions. There are details of the application fee. You do have to give an application fee along with the application. And there is an additional information section. Again, this section is to be used to plug gaps, not write an essay. There are some schools which don't have an optional essay, and this is a good place to then explain your gaps. Quickly, these are the different sections that application forms have. We've already discussed all of them. I'm just going to highlight one section, that is relationships. Would anyone know what relationships refer to in an application form? I'm just going to wait for 5 seconds if somebody wants to take a stab at it. All right. What schools essentially mean, when they talk of relationships in the application form is, one, they want to know if anybody who's related to you is applying to the business school. It could be your siblings, your cousins, your significant other, your spouse, who's also applying to business school along with you. Also, if you are related to someone who is an alumni of the school, they like to know that. The second thing that they like to know is the engagement that you've had with the school. What are the events, webinars, coffee chats run by adcoms that you've attended? Who are the alumni or current students, student ambassadors, or office bearers of clubs that you've interacted with? Schools, of course, want to know how you are engaging with them. And secondly, they also want to see if you're passionate about the school, you're trying to learn about the school, its culture, its ethos, and you're demonstrating interest in the program, right? This is a question that I'm asked very often. Candidates come to us and say, well, I've already put everything about my employment in the resume. Why do we have an employment section? Okay. There is a difference between the information in the resume and the employment section. The biggest mistake you can ever make is copy pasting your resume into your employment section. That is a big no-no. Please do not do it. Okay. So the resume is designed to be a snapshot of your career highlights, highlighting key skills, experiences, and achievements. Now, it's like a highlights reel. It focuses on the most most important accomplishments, rather than every task that you've performed, particularly for common roles. The MBA resume is normally limited to one page. Therefore, the real estate on the resume is very critical, and you normally just get half a page to talk about your professional journey. The other half is used for your academics and additional information or your leadership initiatives. Therefore, brevity and trying to bring out the impact is most critical. Now, what the resume does is it shows a clear career progression, showcasing your roles and responsibilities and how they've evolved over time. Ideally, it should complement the information provided in the application form and provide a concise overview of your career trajectory and your qualifications, along with, of course, as I said, any additional information and your leadership initiatives outside of work. Now, when we come to the form, the application form is, more detailed. It allows for more space to elaborate on specific projects, responsibilities, and quantifiable achievements within each role. It has a strategic focus, where you can showcase impact, leadership potential, and you can demonstrate experiences which are aligned with the school's values and your future goals. The application form is also standardized across applicants. Now, what happens with the resume is that you are allowed to use your own template, but this application form is standardized, and the employment section within the application form then is also standardized across candidates. So that allows the admissions committee to easily compare candidates and evaluate them. Okay. It's a holistic view to your candidacy, and it provides a context to your entire overall profile. So therefore, the application form's employment section provides a detailed narrative, while the resume offers a concise strategic summary to complement and enhance the overall application. So that is the difference, and both the resume and the employment section are important, and you need to fill them out accordingly. Let's look at, a resume and the employment section of an application form. Now, if you see the resume on the left-hand side, Uh, which one do you think tells you more? I'm talking more in terms of your employment details. Obviously, the employment section. Uh, we can see that the candidate has spoken about, has written about their career trajectory at Goldman Sachs, where they work, and they've showcased growth and development through the various roles. But if you come to the application, and of course they've added their education and additional information. We come to the employment section. We see there are far more details in terms of the company where they are working, the size of the company, the salary that they are getting, the role that they're performing, and this is the employment section from HBS. They're also asking you for a description of your role and responsibilities. They're asking you for your biggest achievement and also your biggest challenge. So there is a lot more scope to explore and explain yourself in the employment section. If you have questions as I go along, please put them on the chat box, and I will take them if they are relevant to what I'm speaking. I'm happy to take them as I go along, or I will take them at the end. And if you think if you find this session useful and helpful, please, give us a thumbs up and give us a like. Right. I've just spoken in detail about the employment. So besides, your work history and your responsibility, it is an opportunity. It provides an opportunity to showcase a plethora of things. Besides your work experience, your career growth trajectory, your domain knowledge and expertise, your how do your career goals link to what you've done so far, and therefore you're fit for a particular program. Also gives an indication of your skills and accomplishments. Uh, they always ask you for the reason for leaving. Make sure that your answers are thoughtful and reflective, and you show that you are making a career transition, which is why you have transitioned from one role or one company to the other. Let's talk about activities and hobbies. I see a lot of gaps here. Candidates generally tend to ignore this section, or they are they take it very lightly. They give very sketchy details. Honestly, you need to use this section to your advantage, right? So you can talk about activities related to community involvement, clubs, athletics, hobbies, or any other interests. Normally you have to put it in the order of their importance to you. Now, what do activities and hobbies showcase? They demonstrate that they kind of round you off. They showcase your personality, your interests, and the impact that you've made outside of work and academics. Admissions committees seek candidates with diverse interests and a broad range of experiences, not just strong academic and professional backgrounds. Including hobbies and extracurriculars showcases your personality, your passions, and how you spend your time outside your work, making you a more relatable and interesting person. You can also use your activities and hobbies to highlight your leadership and organization skills, okay, and your personal growth and community engagement. Uh, Extracurricular activities, especially those involving leadership roles, can demonstrate your ability to lead, organize, and collaborate effectively. Now, if you are especially in a role where you haven't had a chance to, showcase leadership, or you haven't had too many leadership opportunities, the extracurriculars can provide a platform to showcase these skills. So it's a good place to highlight your leadership abilities. Now, what your hobbies, activities, and interests also do is offer a glimpse into your personality, your values, and what motivates you. You know, they can also demonstrate your creativity and your willingness to learn new things. Now, for instance, if you are a sports person, you can showcase your and if you play a team sport, you can showcase your teamwork. You can showcase your leadership. You can show your ability to bounce back from failure, because no matter how good you are, you will lose at some point in time, and you will have to bounce back and go and play that next match again. Okay, you can showcase your competitive spirit. Similarly, if you have a creative pursuit, you can highlight your artistic abilities and also your ability to think outside the box. Awards and achievements. Again, I see the section very often. I see very sketchy inputs in this section, but this section can add value to your application. It can enhance your application. So make sure that you use it well. You can highlight your significant honors, awards, recognition, but all of this post your high school. Typically in the MBA application, we do not include your high school experiences or awards achievements, okay? Unless, of course, you're applying to a deferred MBA program, right? So the awards can be academic, they can be community, military, business, sports, or awards in any other spheres. Now, what do the awards tell the AdCom about you? You know, AdComs look for evidence of your commitment to a cause, to an organization, or to an activity. They want to see that you've made a meaningful contribution and left a positive impact. So therefore, what you need to do is focus on the depth of your involvement and the impact you've made, rather than just listing a laundry list of your activities and awards and achievements. Now, instead of just saying that I volunteered, for instance, I volunteered at a particular space, at a particular place, talk about what exactly have you done there. Talk about how you've created impact either for the organization or the demographic that they serve. Okay. Um, the awards also reinforce your strengths and demonstrate how your extracurricular experiences align with your career goals. The uh, the awards and achievements is an opportunity to showcase your multifaceted personality, how you're involved in a wide variety of, or at least several activities. I will not say that you should do anything and everything. Quality is better than quantity. So try and show depth rather than breadth here. But it can show, it shows personal growth. It shows your engagement with community. It shows a multifaceted personality, and it can indicate your awards and achievements can indicate your ability to thrive in a highly competitive MBA environment, right? Does anyone have a question as of now? Please keep putting your questions on the comments box. I do not see any as of now, but if you have any questions related to whatever I'm talking about, go ahead and put them there, and I will try and answer them as I go along. Uh, Achieving an award also requires sustained effort and dedication. The AdCom can infer your commitment, your excellence, and your willingness to go that extra mile from the awards that you've received. Therefore, it indicates your well-roundedness and your passion. Another thing which is important is the why behind the awards. Normally, business schools will ask you the context in which you've got these awards and why you were given this award. Now, uh, you know, when giving the context, try and explain the challenges that you've overcome, the lessons that you've learned, which kind of provides a glimpse to your unique personality, your values, and your aspirations. Your awards and achievements can also distinguish you from other applicants. Now, there are a lot of very strong applicants, who have great academic records and who have a great professional journey. So how do you differentiate yourself in an overrepresented pool, right? And your hobbies, activities, your awards and achievements can do those for you. Okay. Right. Let's come to the most weighted or the most the section that carries the most weightage with candidates, and that is the essays. Now, how many of you, if you would like to tell me, how many of you think that your essays are a deal breaker and your essays get you into a school, into a business school? I'm going to just wait for 5 seconds here in case anybody wants to answer my question. All right, I will wait for you for your questions towards the end. Right. So yes, essays are important. The narrative that you build in your application is extremely important, but the essays are only one part of the narrative. The narrative is built through the entire application, your resume, your short answer questions, your essays, your recommendations. So all of them, all these components combine to create your narrative. And the essays are an important part of the application, but they are not the only deciding factor. What do the essays do, right? The essays describe, they present your ambition, they kind of demonstrate your fit, they give context to who you are, where you're coming from, where are you headed professionally, who are you as a person, what are your motivations, what drives you, what is your character, what are your values. So the essays help highlight a lot of those elements. Let's talk about the different kinds of essays that schools have. So the most common and most popular essay is the career goals essay. Okay, so the career goals essay, describe your post MBA aspirations and how the MBA will help you achieve them. A lot of schools have career goals essays. Schools like Booth, CBS, Wharton have career goals essays, right? The personal essay. The personal essays showcase your personality, your values, and your unique experiences. For instance, UVA Darden asks you to tell your classmates something about you that is not there in your resume, right? So that is a personal essay. The leadership essay. Now, the leadership essay reflects on your past leadership experience, highlighting your ability to influence and motivate others. It demonstrates your leadership style and talks about why somebody should follow you as a leader, right? Uh, HBS has a leadership essay, as all of you who are applying would know, right? And also, see, your past experiences are, and your successes and your leadership potential is seen as a precursor to what is to come in the future, and is an indicator of your future success. Therefore, schools are very focused on some of these essays, especially the leadership essays. The contribution essay. Now, business schools, international business programs are very particular that you don't just go there to learn and imbibe, but you also contribute to the class and community, which is why you essentially go there with X number of years of experience so that you can contribute meaningfully to the community at a particular school. And Duke Fuqua has a question about how you will contribute to the class and community. CBS has a question about how you will co-create your experience. Very interesting question, framed very interestingly, where they ask you about, basically they want to know what you will learn from the school and how you will contribute to the school, both ways, right? Fuqua, of course, asks you about 3 ways in which you will make a contribution. Wharton also has a question, contributions, essay question. Some schools have very specific school essays, essay prompts. These are designed to assess your understanding of their program. They want to see if you're genuinely interested in the program. They cover a very wide, range of topics. For instance, NYU Stern has a picture essay. Now, so does Booth. They want to understand, you in another context. They want to know more about you. So, they have slightly different questions. Behavioral questions, these are essays that ask you to reflect on specific past experiences, often related to teamwork, problem solving, or overcoming challenges. For instance, Kellogg asks you for a specific instance where you had to make a difficult decision. Okay. Columbia Business School asks you for, an instance where you created a collaborative, inclusive environment, right? So the video essays. Now, a lot of schools now have started, having video essays. Sometimes these essays are embedded in the application form, which means they have to be submitted along with the application form. At other times, you are sent a link once the application form is submitted or after the deadline, for the particular round. You're sent a link and then you have to complete the video essays. It's a part of the application process. I have already discussed the optional essays. The reapplicant essays are essentially for candidates who are reapplying to schools, and it's an opportunity for them to demonstrate how they have grown and evolved since their last application, and to highlight any new experiences or accomplishments that they might have had, during that period. Letters of recommendations or references. This is the only third-party view on your application. A lot of candidates do not pay adequate attention to this component of the application, thinking it is just a formality again. Believe you me, it is not. It can be your foot in the door to a business school. Um, Business schools look at your recommendations closely. If they feel you've not been able to express yourself adequately in the application form, but they find that you have very, very strong recommendations, they may really invite you for an interview, because they may feel that they would like to know a little more about you. So it is your foot in the door. Pay attention to your letters of recommendation, and and make sure that you pick your recommenders prudently. Uh, what recommendations essentially do is they corroborate facts and your achievements. They highlight your skills and strengths and differentiate you from your peers professionally. Now, recommendations are primarily professional references, right? First-time applicants typically have to submit 1, 2, or maybe 3 recommendations. Schools like MIT and Columbia are only asking for 1 recommendation at the moment. Schools like Harvard, Stanford, GSB, Kellogg, and Booth are all asking for 2 recommendations. There are schools like Dodden which ask you for 1 recommendation but give you the option to upload a second. There are some schools which do give you the option to upload a 3rd letter of recommendation. If you are a reapplicant, by and large, you are only required to submit 1 letter of recommendation, okay, from a new referee, not from somebody you've submitted a recommendation already. Let's talk about the common mistakes candidates make in the application form. Now, I have bucketed them under different headings, and I'm going to go over them, one at a time. Language. You really need to pay attention to the typos, grammatical errors. please go over your entire applications a few times before submission. Proofread your application, make sure that there are no typos or grammatical errors. Spellings. You can use either British or American spellings, all right? You're allowed to do either, but you need to be consistent. Once you decide that you're going to use either British or American spellings, stay with that format throughout the application. Avoid inconsistencies. I've mentioned this before in my first slide, but please make sure that all your facts, figures, dates, achievements are consistent across the application, right? You cannot say that I worked with a company between January 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2024 in your resume and have a different set of dates in your application form. Similarly for achievements, if your resume says that you undertook an initiative which reduced let's say man hours by 100 man hours per person annually, you cannot have a different figure in any other part of your application. So all facts, figures, dates, and achievements need to be consistent across the application. Currency. We see this a lot. People use different currencies in different parts of the application. Please be consistent. USD is the universally accepted norm. If you're applying to schools across the board, in Canada, US, UK, Asia, Europe, you can just use USD. You don't have to keep changing currencies. But if you're applying only to the UK, you can use the pound. Or if you're applying only to Europe, you can use in the Eurozone, you can use the euro. But otherwise, USD is the universally accepted norm. Now, if you worked in two different geographies and earned and created impact in different currencies, convert them to one currency, please. Okay. Consistency is important. Please follow instructions that schools give you in terms of the font and spacing. Sometimes they specify the font and spacing margins that they want, in your essays. So please follow that. PDF, try and PDF. Please do PDF your resume and your essays unless otherwise specified by the school. Right? Word count and character count. This is where a lot of people do tend to make mistakes. And I do get a lot of questions around by how much can I exceed the word count? Honestly, keep to the word count. There's a reason they've given you a word count. Thumb rule is you can exceed by 10%, but you would rather not. Sometimes, schools like HBS give you a box to answer. So it might just cut off at the word count, and you need to be mindful of that as well. But when you are uploading an answer, you could go over by 10%, but I wouldn't advise you to. Character count, more important. A lot of short answers are, answered in characters, and character count means characters including spaces. And the answer will cut off at the character count. So you really need to be mindful and be very concise and compact when you answer questions that have a character count. Right? The information that you provide should not be incomplete. Please give complete information, in terms of your data points and also in terms of the subjective questions that you answer. Blank sections. Please do not leave any section blank. Last year, a candidate who did not make it to HBS came to us and showed us, the application, his previous application. And we realized that there were a lot of questions, short answer questions, and they were optional, but, they were left blank. Now, this is a huge missed opportunity. For instance, he had left a question on the additional context, if you have moved places, and he had, but he did not give, anything on his, he did not give any context on his geographical background. did not use the additional information about the family background, or did not give adequate descriptions of the activities and the award and the context in the award section. So you need to use these sections prudently so that the adcoms get to know a little more about you. Everything that you put in your application should be additive and should add value to your application. So use these sections. Do not leave blank sections. School Connect, I have already spoken about this. Schools will ask you about, how you've connected with them and then with students and alumni. Please keep a record of whenever you connect with schools and current students, alumni, and do populate this section. Short answers, I've already covered that. Avoid an overlap with the essays. There may be multiple short answer essay-like short answer questions. Make sure that you look at them in conjunction with the essays and do not plug in the same information. Every part of the application should speak to the other parts, right? And it should tell the adcom something new or something different about you. So be mindful when you're answering short answers and you're framing your essays. I've already discussed the additional information section, so I don't need to go over that again. In terms of expression, when you're writing your essays, your short answers, please avoid cliches, avoid hyperbole, avoid jargon and tech terms. Remember, adcoms receive applications from across the board, right? They get applications from people from different backgrounds, different industries, different functions. They're not expected to know everything about every background, every industry, and every function. Therefore, simplify jargon and technical terms. Do not use vague terms like I undertook this initiative which added significantly to the top line or the bottom line. What does significantly mean? Okay, be specific and say it added $100,000 a year to the top line. I've already discussed the LORs. What I just need to highlight here is please insert your referee details very carefully. Please make sure that the email ID submitted is correct and is the official email ID of the recommender. Okay, not the personal email ID. If you're submitting a personal email ID, you will have to give an explanation as to why you're doing that. Also, if you want to change your recommender during the course of the application, and this is before you've submitted your application, you're allowed to do that. You can go into the recommendation section and change your recommender. And the recommendation link will go to the new recommender. Transparency is very, very important and critical. When you make disclosures about any disciplinary actions against you or the use of AI, please be very honest. The AdCom is really very smart. They know when you've used AI, all right? They can make out. So please be honest about the use of AI. And schools do a background check on you after you get an admit. So if you've had any disciplinary action taken against you, please be honest and upfront about it. Keeping the application last, as I said, is a complete no-no and a big, big mistake, because you are going to miss out on plugging in information. You will not have time to verify information, so it might be inaccurate. And the one thing that I really want to highlight here is embedded questions. What happens in the application form, and if you remember the form that I showed you earlier, the HBS application form, in the employment section, only when you fill out the employment details do the last three subjective questions pop up. So you need to start undertaking this process much earlier so that you're not blindsided, and on the last day you say, oh my god, I have four roles and four jobs that I need to feed in, and for every role I need to highlight my roles and responsibilities, my biggest accomplishment, and my biggest challenge, which takes a lot of thought and effort, right? So start the process early. Right. I'm just going to cover quickly a few FAQs before I start taking your questions. Do business schools convert GPAs? No, they don't. You don't have to do that either. They understand different academic paths. So if you've scored in percentage, if you've got a grade, or if you've got a GPA on 10, you don't have to convert it into a 4-point GPA. Okay, do schools accept a 3-year undergraduate degree from international students? Now, I am going to talk about India in specific here because they have a different guidance for different regions. Okay, as far as Indian applicants are concerned, most top schools do accept a 3-year undergraduate degree. Well, schools like Harvard, MIT Sloan, Wharton, NYU Stern, Duke Fuqua, Michigan Ross, Dartmouth Tuck, all of them accept a 3-year undergrad degree. However, schools like Columbia and Haas may review it on a case-to-case basis. Berkeley Haas does, you may be at a disadvantage if you apply with a 3-year undergrad degree, and if you have a master's, it will strengthen your candidacy. Kelly School of Business, for one, definitely does not accept a 3-year undergrad degree. Now, do business schools offer an application fee waiver? Yes, most schools do offer an application fee waiver. You will have to check, on this, for each school that you're applying to. Now, waivers are often granted based on financial need, academic merit, or participation in specific programs or events. For instance, Harvard Business School and Stanford GSP offer need-based waivers. Now, all schools, I think across the board, offer waivers to military applicants. Okay, so I'm not even mentioning those. The Duke Fuqua School of Business offers waivers if you attend specific events or on alumni or student recommendations, and of course, if you have a financial hardship. Wharton also offers you a waiver if you have severe financial hardship. MIT Sloan will offer you an application fee waiver if you are a Peace Corps member or a Forte Fellow, or of course, you're part of the military. Right. So there are different, you will have to check with every school if they are offering a fee waiver and what are the conditions under which they offer an application fee waiver. A question that comes up very often is, can I submit significant updates after submitting the application, after the deadline has passed? Now, some schools like Tuck do allow for significant updates through the application update form, but the others may not. You will have to check with each school. There are some schools which will allow you to update your GMAT or GRE score if you've got a better score, but it is crucial that you check with each of these schools. Right, that brings us to the end of my presentation, and I am going to, there are a few questions that I see here, and let me take those questions. Parishrut Rajhan says, I got a 329 on GRE offline and 336 online. Confused which one to submit, seeing the recent devalue of GRE. I'm not sure, Parishrut, what you mean by the devalue of GRE. All schools across most schools, I'm not saying all, but most top schools accept both the GMAT and GRE. They do not differentiate between candidates who submit the GMAT or GRE. You have a 336, which is a very strong score, and I'm assuming you have a very strong quant score. Please go ahead and submit it. Okay, there is no problem there. All right, I see Re-Addicted AF again on my webinar. Right, you have a doubt. Could you please advise on some European school-specific nuances, something they value more than other regions? Oh, you're talking about the in the application. So let's say if you're applying to an INSEAD, so it depends from school to school. Again, generally, all business schools, look for similar things in candidates. They look for leadership abilities because they are, they are looking at creating or developing future leaders. So they will look for evidence of leadership. They will want certain traits in you. They will want to see that you have the ability to take the academic rigor of the program. But if you join a program, if you're looking at a program like INSEAD, INSEAD values international experience. All right. So you will stand out if you, or you will have an advantage if you have significant international experience. The other thing that European schools, they, although the programs are in English, it is a, it's a good idea. It is good if you have some knowledge of the language, of the regional language, because even though the program is in English, the moment you step out of the campus, or if you want to do an internship there, or if you want to work there, you will need to know the local language. So if you are applying to INSEAD or HEC Paris, it's good to have a working knowledge of French. If you are applying to ASA or IE or SRA in Spain, good to have a working knowledge of Spanish. And the schools also support you to learn the language, right? Resume doubt. You've created your resume on Google Docs and managed to fit it in one page and use the PAW framework. Do I have to read them as per each school? You should, I think you would need to do it in a Word document, the resume in a Word document, because you need to upload it, right, on the application form. They usually ask you, each school specifies what they want, and they will give you specifications, as I said, on the font, on the spacing, if they have any. Otherwise, it's always better to create it in on a Word document and PDF it, so that the formatting does not change. You do not have to change the resume for each school unless and until a school has a specific format. For instance, MIT, Sloan, inverts the sections, which means that they want the education section first and the work experience later. Normally, we put the work experience, education, and your additional information, but they want to see your education first. Similarly, if you are a deferred MBA applicant, so unless they have a specific format, Oxford has a separate, specific format. ISB has a specific format. If they have a specific format, you should follow the format. Otherwise, it is not essential for you to keep changing your resume. Scores online are looked down upon. Parishrut, no, not at all. Not at all. Nothing like that. There are a lot of people across the world who are not able to take, the tests in person. You can actually report both your scores. You can report both your scores and say, this was my in-person and this was my online score. But honestly, your online score is really strong, and you should use that to apply to business schools. Any information on Canadian schools like Rotman and Schulich? How competitive are they compared to top US, European programs? Rohil, all schools are competitive. It depends on, and Rotman is a highly competitive program, okay, because it is the highest rated program in Canada. It is also a very, very rigorous program. Yes, how competitive they are to top US, European. I wouldn't compare them to other schools because, you have, you have a specific reason for picking a region to go to business school. You're not going there because, Canada is easier to get into, or Europe is easier to get into, or, the US programs are more competitive, so I will not apply there. You apply because you feel the school is that particular school in that region is uniquely positioned to help you achieve your goals, and because you want to be in a particular region for various reasons. Let's say for Indians, a lot of them want to go to Asia and to Europe and the UK because it is closer home, right? It's just a 10-hour flight or an 8-hour flight away, rather than go to the US, which is a 24-hour flight away. So you may have other considerations. All schools are competitive, right? So you have to see where you want to apply. And if you want a more detailed evaluation, I've put up I have put up some details here. You can scan the QR code. You can book an appointment with us. We have a half an hour free, counseling session. You can either email us. You can also call us on the number that is mentioned there, and we'd be happy to take this up with you on a one-on-one call. I cannot go into too many details at this point. Any other questions? We still have a few minutes, so I'm going to wait on any more questions that may come. In the meantime, I have already said this, but I'm going to reiterate this. Please do scan the QR code. You can book an appointment with us. Reach out to us. We'll give you a half an hour free consult, and you can ask us about anything related to the application and the application process. And also, please don't forget to like and give us a thumbs up if you've liked the session, if you've enjoyed it, if you found it helpful. Parishruti, yes. All right. So average college fee. Now this, of course, depends on the region where you are applying to. I am not going to talk about, okay, let me just give you a ballpark figure. In the US, it is between $80,000 to $90,000 per year. All right. In Europe, it can differ. Oh, okay. Another, while we were on that question about picking schools in different regions, there are a lot of people who pick up European and UK programs because they're shorter duration programs. They don't want to be away from the workforce for that long. So they are 10 to 15-month programs. And, that kind of helps you get a better return on investment. So that's another consideration why people consider those programs. Even in Canada, there are some one-year programs, right? Which is the reason why people pick those programs. Average college fee, as I said, around $80,000 to $90,000 in the US. In the UK, it can vary depending on the length of the program, right? But it will, I think, London Business School is over 120,000 pounds or 130,000 pounds. Okay. I had a small logistics startup, but later sold it. I didn't draw a salary, but the page and all is still active. Should I mention it as I don't have the paperwork? What do you mean by not having the paperwork, Parishrut? You must have got some operations there, right? You must have registered the company. There must have been something. There must be some evidence there, right? You can showcase that evidence. You must have registered the company. There may have been a balance sheet. You may have paid some taxes, or at least not even if, obviously, if you didn't make money, you may have filed for taxes. Okay. So there are various ways of demonstrating that you worked in a company or show evidence. Like company registration and all my code and all that, still balance sheet is not there. Parishrut, let's have a one-on-one conversation about this, okay? I think we'll need a far more details. This is very sketchy and unfortunately, I'm not able to give you a satisfactory answer because I don't know all the details. There's one more question. Will there be a placement guarantee or depends on performance apart from academics? Okay, so there is no placement guarantee, all right? But having said that, all business schools have career cells. They have very, very active career cells and career offices and career cells. They even have mentors who advise you on, the career paths that you should take. On the schools organize career fairs. They organize, smaller get-togethers where they invite companies to speak to students. So there is a lot of, employment related events that are held by the schools. You can also reach out to alumni, who are in your area of interest, and alumni are very, very helpful they connect you to people. They may even have jobs for you. So there are various ways of finding jobs. If you go to a good MBA program, by and large, it's not impossible to find a job. It may be difficult sometimes in certain markets, okay, but you will be able to find employment by and large. All right, I think that brings us to the end of this session. We are on the clock at 10 p.m. Thank you to everyone who attended the session today. Please feel free to reach out to us. Follow us on LinkedIn. Follow our YouTube page. Contact us. I've already given you our contact details. We'll be very happy to help you in your application process if you are applying to business school this cycle or even in the future. Good night to everyone who is in my region, which is India, and have a good day to those who are in other parts of the world. UPSC Civil Services. You are from India. Which country are you right now? You've seen Indian people and the surroundings. UPSC. Yes, yes. Well, Mr. Student, I am from India, and we do work with people from the civil services background all the time, all the time. I'm currently working with a few of them. Okay. All right. So, good night, as I said, to people in my region, and have a good day to everyone else.